Mhm.
Hello and welcome to Read and React, presented by Fable Table. I am your host, Nick Boynan. Nick Bowen. Wow, I've never fucked up saying my own name before. Joining me today is the lovely Shannon, who knows how to pronounce her own name.
Thank you. Hello.
Today we are continuing our read of Dungeon Crawler Carl. We will be reading chapters 19 through 21, but spoiler warnings for all of the first 21 chapters of the first book, and a content warning for gore, violence, drug, and alcohol use. Okay, let's dig right in. For those watching the YouTube video, part of the reason why you should show up for the live recordings is because you get to hear us banter, but we also just literally like a minute ago played the audio clip from the audiobook where the AI is reading the smush skill, and it is
Chef kiss.
gross.
So gross. I love it.
Incredible. I promised you I would, and I did, but it was a lot. So I chose to play it not during the full recording. Okay. So speaking of other past events, let's just do a quick recap of where things were in the last episode. Furious about not being featured on the first episode of Dungeon Crawler World Earth, Donut doubled down on her desire to do whatever it takes to get down to get on the show. Wow, I am tongue-tied today. What is going on? So they
made you flustered.
I know it has made me a useless gob. And so they headed back to the original Goblin neighborhood. They traded drugs for a motorcycle with a little matching sidecar for Donut. And got the goblins to head out to go start a drug war with the bad llamas. While every goblin headed out, they pushed a wagon full of explosives from the goblin workshop into the boss room and hightailed it out of there, clear of the explosion. Carl's guilt is doubled down on when Donut reveals right as Carl is detonating the warhead that he rolled into the boss room, that it was full of a room full of elders, pregnant goblins, and children.
It's the best.
And Donut then tried to help Carl rationalize while they fled north into a brand new neighborhood. This time, Carl will rationalize the murder himself while reviewing the rewards he got for it. They will confront Frank Q, American Patriot. Cookies will save the day, and they will go on a classic road trip. These we were just talking about how chapters 19 and 21 are kind of like setting the table for the chapters that follow them relatively. They're pretty short. I'm pretty sure we're going to spend most of our time talking about chapter 20.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a really fun set of chapters in my mind. Chapter 19 kind of resolves, or not resolves, but just like finishes up, I think, the exploration of Carl's guilt around what he's going to have to do in the dungeon.
Right. But also, I'm not going to interrupt. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, I've been kind of like hitting this nail on the head of like how excited I've been that Carl is like experiencing this guilt and not just kind of like a murder hobo. The way that Donut kind of is.
In a way, kind of. But I don't know, dude. He has feelings. He has feelings, but like there hasn't been a moment for them to sleep or, take a poop or take a bath. Like self-contemplation happens when you're in the shower, like on the floor, biting your knees, and crying, like that's when real growth happens,
but
and they're like reliving terrible things.
There's also the in the moment, like, can I do this? Do I have, like, am I gonna be able to do what I have to do right now? Like, commit to my decision. And he's been able to do that, and then like he has started to like unravel a bit for like, because he is that man of action, not necessarily thinking, and then like at some point he has to deal with the consequences, and it has been in some of these moments. And then chapter 20 has me feeling like we're not necessarily going to be revisiting the guilt. Like we've explored it a lot right here, kind of back to back with the hoarder, and then the like room full of babies and pregnant people and elders. And I think in chapter 19 we start to see the kind of like, all right, I will be able to rationalize this, and move past it, which is really great, because then we move into some really gnarly so we move into a situation that has the potential to blow up in a way that actually like is behavior I wouldn't expect from Carl normally, but he confronts Frank Q. Like, Carl getting into PvP doesn't strike me as something he would just do unless he didn't have a choice, and this is one of those situations where he does not feel like he has a choice. But there is a twist there, which is really exciting, and we'll get to that. And then chapter 21 just feels like it's setting the table for the whole next set of chapters, which I've already started to read, and they're really, really cool, and I like the direction things are heading in there. So, did you have anything you wanted to add about this set of chapters and kind of like the high level picture before we dive in?
No, I think you really covered all those bases. So yeah, we can just dive right in.
Excellent. So chapter 19 begins with a restatement, or not a restatement. It is just a statement by the AI, awarding him the You Monster achievement, which is like it's just the baby killer achievement. It reads, let me pull it up here. New achievement, You Monster. You have killed an infant. An infant. Oh my god, it's hilarious. So the achievement starts with this, like, you're a monster, you killed an infant. It then offers a little bit of reassurance that all children mobs who die within this dungeon don't actually perish. They're transferred to a holding area where they're safe and treated nicely and gently until they can be reunited with their loving parents at the end of the season. And I thought, oh, that's there's some credibility to this, because they have the power to do that. Like, we know that when crawlers descend a floor, they're held, at least we're told that they're held in stasis. Items that go into the inventory held in stasis. They no longer have conserved momentum. They don't rot, etc. And we also know that the NPCs are held in stasis until they're populated on a subsequent floor of the dungeon. So this technology exists, as far as we've been told by many sources. Although I begin to wonder, so it says, as I'm reading this, I begin to wonder, so they'll be reunited with their parents. Well, what about these goblin babies whose parents were just killed? Will they be reunited dead or alive? Is that like a malicious intent under the surface there? Well, it's a moot thought, because the reward for this achievement is these past 20 seconds when your conscience started to ease. That was your reward. It's also a lie. That baby is dead, and it's dead because of you. You're totally going to hell.
So much.
The game design, or the AI that is writing these, I don't know if it's the designers of the game writing these achievements, or it's just the AI like ad hoc doing it as it's deciding to award these achievements. Whoever's doing this is clearly aware of ethics. They've taken their ethics course. They've taken they've taken their history and philosophy courses, and they have an intentional disregard for ethics, just for the laughs.
Oh yeah.
And to
The
drive that,
dungeon wants to make people as uncomfortable as possible.
yes,
He's trying to ferret out the winners, you know?
yeah, I think they really are like taking to task, going like trying to undermine people, get under their skin, and make them uncomfortable or frustrated, really to probably weed out like the people who have a thick skin, or generate drama.
It's not just physical warfare, it's psychological as well. Because they
Exactly.
will break at some point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And if that achievement description wasn't enough, there is in fact a reward. It is called the assholes box. We've seen adventurers box, we've seen quadrupeds box, we've seen human boxes, we've seen all kinds of boxes. The goblin boxes for killing goblins. But yes, an assholes box, a reward for doing cruel things, not just cool things, which we've seen rewards for, but cruel things, a war crime achievement, if you will. Yeah. Oh no, there is a war crime achievement. New achievement, war criminal. You have killed more than 20 non-combatants in a single attack. Question, what's the only thing standing between an innocent child and a happy, fulfilling life? You. The answer is you. And Carl gets yet another assholes box. He gets a bronze one and then a gold one for the 20 non-combatant kills in one attack. Oh boy. So yeah, Carl's guilt is front and center here, because we start with like these two achievements, like no context. He's reading these notifications, and then it is revealed that they had found a safe room, and this is where the review of these notifications and achievements is happening. And they have like gone into the next neighborhood. There is a bit of backtracking after, again, the setup of like, here's where Carl is at mentally, not just what he's actually doing. They describe the neighborhood they went through as the rot sticker neighborhood, these tiny little creatures that are like level 1 and 2 suicide bombers that hit like a sledgehammer and are supposed to do massive damage and cause a knockdown. Fortunately, Carl's cloak prevents him from the knockdown status, which is really, really good for him and them.
Yeah. We also takes a potion, and he makes Donut take a potion too.
Yes, I think yes, as they were fleeing, because they were in a hurry to get out of the goblin place and they didn't know what they were going to be running into. I think they had taken one on the way out. And then once they realized what they were dealing with, they might have drank another. I'm not sure. But yeah, they hit really hard despite being small, and low health, given that they're level 1 and 2. However, they aren't that bad. They make a warning noise when they approach, and they take a few seconds to detonate once they stick to you. Carl admits to actually being knocked down when one particular one lands like on his inner thigh and basically it kicks him in the nuts when it explodes. He said he was lucky that they took the potion, or that he had some sort of resistance to it, because he wondered if he might actually like lose some of his body
his
parts.
leg and his balls specifically.
Yeah. So Matt Dinniman's doing a really great job here of like locating us in the drama that Carl is experiencing, but then lightening the air through, every tool at his disposal. It's great. Carl and Donut do a really great job of quickly figuring out how to deal with the rot stickers. Basically, Donut can fire one magic missile and kill them. And because Carl is a slower, bigger target, they're going to focus on him. So Donut doesn't even get caught at all by them. So no big deal. And so they make it. They've backtracked and they're in the safe room. This one has no attendant. so there's no food being served here. There is water, showers. There's a row of cots divided by curtains, but 2 of the cots are missing. And the TVs that we are so used to seeing are there. Last time I believe there was exactly or very close to 4 million people left. And there is a significant drop here. We're at like 3,600,000 essentially. So a lot of people have died in the last couple hours.
Yeah.
Carl wonders how many people he begins to think about other crawlers and wonder how many people have just given up and were waiting things out in a safe room or a bathroom,
right.
or a
they
guild
find
hall.
a safe spot to just stop, and they're just waiting for the end, which, I mean, okay, if this were you, this is always the game that I play with myself, and this is always the question I ask. If it were you, what would you do? Would you fight? Would you play? Or would you just like wait for
oh boy,
the world to collapse? I don't know, man.
I think it really depends. Like, who is there with me? Like, who? Like, do I have Nova with me? Am I with my sweetie? Am I with friends? Or am I just by myself? I don't know. I think if I were with other people, it would kind of depend. Like,
let's say it's you and Nova. Like in as close to Carl's situation maybe as you can, right?
If I'm with Nova and Nova has eaten the like enhanced pet biscuit and we can communicate, I'm guessing Nova is terrified and afraid of dying. I do not think that Nova is as gung-ho about this as Donut is. But I don't want to see her suffer, and I don't want to see her die.
So you're going to fight to protect
I think we
little
fight.
baby Nova.
Yeah, I do. I really do. But I also like might be feeling like I don't have a lot to go for. And I feel like when you're in community, you feel like you have more. So like if I also found other people that were determined to keep fighting, like I feel like I would have a lot to offer and I could really help people go further.
But in this, I also but these kind of like exercises and like putting myself into the scenario, like it's always like, even though it's Carl and Carl's like 6'6" or whatever, he's a big dude. It's me. I'm the one fighting, and I'm with my trusty sidekick Donut. But like Donut's definitely the main character in her own mind, But like, and Donut kind of is the main character. I fucking love Donut, dude. But like, no, dude. But think about it from Carl's perspective too, like where he's in his dungeon. It's just him and his cat. They are it. And you're thinking, okay, I got to fight. I got to survive. I got to take care of this cat. This cat's going to take care of me. We're together in this. And then you meet other people. And you're talking about like finding a community, but like, wouldn't the thought be going through your mind also of like, can I trust these people? Are they going to kill me and take my loot? Are they going to, like, how do I, a player, determine if these are people that I can trust and make them a part of my crew? You know what I mean? Like, so Carl's got all of this going on in his head, and that's why he's pushing all that emotion down.
It's only been a few days, and it's been a adrenaline-filled couple of days. So
harrowing.
If I were in his shoes, like here, where he's only 2.5 days in, I'm probably thinking like, I still need to process this. I need to be careful. But if I'm going to survive, and if anyone else in here is going to survive, they have to realize they're like going to need to trust people. Especially given like what Mordecai has told us at this point about how awful the odds are.
True. And Carl wants to trust people. He wants to trust people.
He also has the power and strength right now to handle people.
True.
Like Frank Q. And we'll talk about that. If it's me meeting a group of people, I'm probably going to be way more cautious.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, I've watched The Walking Dead. I know what happens when a group comes
Dude,
upon a
right?
group and how it changes when it's one or two people comes upon another group. Like there is a lot, like a lot of protecting yourself, and
I
it's
yeah,
hard to
dude.
build trust in situations like that. But you have to start
Absolutely.
somewhere. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah. Um yeah, Carl wonders how many people are just like waiting things out. I might be one of those people. Um
I might.
we
I
should keep
might.
talking about this. I know we have a bit to cover. But I'll be interested to hear what your thoughts are and what you would do in this situation. Um
I would
so
die immediately, Nick. I would be
I
dead
I
instantly.
feel like you would be a lot more like Donut, where you would go for the social plays, trying to
Awesome.
convince monsters or
I don't.
NPCs to help
I
you,
don't.
charm
I've
them.
been. Oh, as you have been my DM almost every time that we've played Dungeons and Dragons together. When have I ever had charisma?
It's
Ever? When?
true. You've always gone for the stabby
Never.
stabby.
I do go for the stabby stabby, which serves me well because I'm just, a woman filled with rage. You know, I can only do so much, but like, yeah, charisma's never been a strong suit for me. And maybe that's why I appreciate Donut so much, just because she is so
Well,
charismatic.
the system does appear to be able to manipulate your physical attributes, make you stronger, make you faster, make you be able to jump farther, make
Hmm.
you more intelligent, like artificially or otherwise. So, you could play a stabby stabby, sneaky sneaky, dashy dashy. You just have to bump up your stats and the system will do it for you.
I just worry that I would do the same thing I always do and just be like, fuck you, charisma, and then immediately go for more stealth. Like,
Yep.
so
Yep. You're like, oh, I'll get it. I'll get charisma later.
I get it on the next roll. Yeah.
Yeah. So as Carl's thinking about all these people that might be giving up, in my mind, I'm like, ooh, are we going to have a humongous jump in the number once floor one disappears for all those people that are waiting and incapable of finding a staircase or getting to one?
Definitely feels that way. Yeah. I mean,
So
because like think about how many people have already gone from who came down into the dungeon. 14 million or something.
yeah, and we're down to less than 4. Well, less than
Exactly.
4 now. Yeah. We get shown next that a lot of these safe zones will have like something like a little special about them sometimes. Here, there is a cookie monster somewhere. There's just a plate of cookies on the table in the community like eating area,
Hmm.
with a sign that says like take an experience cookie, 1 per player per day, and it's worth 10 experience points, we find. Which is nothing. Apparently, like a level 2 mob is worth 50 XP. So this is nothing.
What
Um,
what I love about this especially is like the difference between this safe room and how spoiled they were with Tully.
right?
Tally.
Yeah, tally. Yeah, exactly. So you can definitely you feel like you're rolling the dice when you go to a safe zone. Like, is this going to be a fun one, an exciting one, an interesting one? No. Well, something a little
Are
special.
they
It's
gonna
it's
have
better
beer
than
or
nothing. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, when Carl takes a cookie, I think it's Donut first takes a cookie.
donut?
But instead she gets awarded 9.8 experience points, and Carl receives 0.2 experience points because party members split the XP between each of them. This is a fun and cute little detail that is revealed to us in a fun and cute little way. Um, yeah, and Carl points out that this is a meaningless amount of experience, which in my mind goes, then why is this important? Why is this here? Why did Matt Dinniman choose to put it here? Is it just to showcase that the safe rooms have little characteristics about them that make them unique? Maybe.
Also, Donut is outraged immediately
Yes.
that Carl stole a fraction.
0.2, a fifth of one experience point. So Carl eats a cookie and she gets her 0.2.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So the next episode of Dungeon Crawl World is airing in about 6 hours. So they decide to get some sleep. There's some other achievements and skill upgrades. I'm not going to go through them all. There's a new skill that Carl receives. A lot of his are related to explosives. He gets an increased damage for improvised explosive devices, IEDs, which they had created by filling barrels full of gunpowder and putting the magical detonator in it. And it quote dramatically reduces the chance of premature detonation. Now when Carl holds up explosives and examines them, he gets a lot of information about them, including how close to premature detonation they are, which is terrifying. We'll get into that later. He also has the ability to access a demolitionist's workshop. Or demolitions workshop. Donut also got these achievements and some skill upgrades. Her skills that got upgraded were more in beguiling for all of the charming of the goblins that she did. When I used the word charming, I'm not implying that it's magical, but it is the system doing it, so it is kind of in a sense magic. It also seemed like there was description in the previous chapters about like her like kind of like showing the tiara or like it like gleaming or the like, goblins reacting to it. So it's kind of hard to say. I know that the stats are like one of her big boosts in charisma is coming from that item, especially I think it's the first impression skill. So that might be kind of a magical effect happening. It's not totally clear.
I mean, if within the confines of the game, I think it's safe to call it magic.
Right. We don't understand it, so it's magic.
We don't understand. It's science. Anything like it's science, right? Because it's a hyper accelerated world, universe that they have technology that we can't understand or fathom, and within those confines, it's magic.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, dude, like with her charming people, I always kind of liken it to like in these early chapters when Donut is like, turns her wiles onto an NPC. It's kind of like, it would be like if somebody really, like if Henry Cavill like came up to me and was like, "Hello, Shannon, you're very interesting. I'm going to pay attention to you now." Like my eyes would be like saucer. I would be like, "This is not real. This is not happening." So what exactly?
Take me away.
Henry Cavill.
How sweet is
guys? What is happening? Or like Jason Momoa. It would be like Jason Momoa being like, "Hey, girl, let's go for a beer," and I would just explode. I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm just gonna die." But that's it. Like that's for all intents and purposes. Donut is like Jason Momoa and Henry Cavill to these NPCs. They're like this magnificent person, this magnificent creature.
Yeah,
it's paying attention to me. Oh my god!
It's
I'll give them anything they want.
It's so funny to me that the like Donut's impression upon the goblins that they met, she was like, they just seemed to like they had a dramatic reaction to her in not a positive way, and then they like really looked at her, and then suddenly, the magic dust got sprinkled over their eyes, and it just kind of like artificially changed.
Because they were initially
in a really powerful way, which is very strange. But then what's also really funny is Carl, who does not have these effects, was approached later by one of the shamanka who was playing devil's advocate to my own point that I'm getting to. She was super high. She then propositioned him.
Right, but he was more attracted to her. He was more attracted to her because of the gear that he was wearing.
Right, and this is my point, is that it seems like there is subjective reaction, like the NPCs are free to determine how much they or just naturally be attracted to or beguiled by crawlers, but then there's also a system effect that can artificially inflate it one way or the other, which is really interesting.
I think it has to do with when they first approached they weren't white dot NPCs at that point. They were still like red dot because they were still aggressive and like ready to do battle. And while they were talking to Carl, even though he had a goblin pass, but at the point when their focus landed on Donut and their dots became white, and that they were no longer enemies with one another, at that point there is like a level of free will, I guess, maybe being
yeah. I just wonder like how much of it is like a UI that the NPCs have that tells them like highlights like, oh, this is their charisma, or here is the past that they have, or if they are just being like their brain is being manipulated in some way. I'd be curious to know. I don't know if it's ever going to come up, but probably not because it needs to remain mystical. But it tickles my brain to think about. Okay, let's keep moving. So in review of some of the items that they get some potions, they get some food, they get some pet food. They both receive a Desperado Club pass, or it's called a Desperado Pass, but the tooltip says that they are now part of the Desperado Club, and it is a tattoo of a dagger dripping with blood. I definitely meant to make this an audio clip, but didn't. Donut, who puts it on first, says Miss Beatrice is going to absolutely shit herself when she sees it on me. She bitches and moans about being disqualified from pet shows now. Oh, Donut, you sweet summer child. Right, yeah. So for all the pet shows that are happening on Earth these days,
I mean,
yeah,
she's still just a baby. She's still figuring out things, even though she knows things. She hasn't quite put all of it together at this point.
Yeah.
I love it though. She didn't put it on. She opened the box and it was an award, and it just happened to her.
Right.
Like they open the box, they get the award, and it just like boom, you've got a tattoo.
It's these tattoos. They just apply themselves. Period. You have no choice.
Correct.
And I think it's because it's not so much maybe the goblin tattoo was, but this certainly it doesn't seem that way. It says it precludes you from getting a Vanquisher pass. And I was not familiar with the term desperado, so I did want to make sure I wasn't making an assumption. I looked up the definition. A desperate or reckless person, especially a criminal. Some definitions referred to violent criminals. And this is in their assholes box. So this is, I think this is a direct result of getting some achievements related to negative social behavior. They have committed crimes. There is some sort of underlying merit or ethics system, branding players, that goes not quite as far as like say the whatever shows that they've beaten bosses, the stars next to their name, or something else that we'll see next to names, skulls, which indicate someone has killed another crawler. So this is more about behavior towards NPCs and
NPCs and the monsters. Correct.
So so Vanquisher Pass must mean something good.
Right, exactly. It's like you've got this pass now. You are never getting in this other one. So
yeah. So we'll see whatever that pass does in the future at some point, I'm sure. But interesting that they're being evaluated on the ethics and morals, given that this game has none. Um,
Not for Carl at this point that we've seen, but the fact that a Vanquisher pass exists tells us that maybe there are other people out there playing the game a different way.
Yes.
That these are the choices that Carl has, and these are the one choices he's been given.
Yeah.
And this is how he's choosing to play the game. So yeah, he's like there are no high roads in this dungeon, you know?
Yeah, and a Vanquisher pass might be really interesting to see on a character who maybe gets faced with the choice of like, oh, the goblin boss or chieftain, as well as all these babies and pregnant people and elders, like someone who manages to kill that boss while not killing all those children might or in other be presented in other situations. Taking that really tough high road, there might be some interesting benefits to that. Or the game might just make fun of them. Like, who knows?
There's definitely some of that happening, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's a couple other things they receive. Carl gets a +2 Constitution ring, making him even tougher. He gets a skill potion that gives him a determined value skill, so which will allow him to praise the value of items. I wrote economics, baby. But the first level of this skill only lets him sort his inventory by their value as a filter, not actually see their values. One of the descriptions of this potion I thought was fucking hilarious. And I really, really, really want to hear what Raleigh has to say to this. Your partner, who I feel like was called out in this, as well as all gamers. Skill potion. Drinking this adds a single level of the determined value skill. Hopefully now you'll realize all those Magic the Gathering cards are nothing more than just meaningless pieces of paper, and you should have spent your money on something with actual value, like a treadmill or shampoo.
So mean, right? Like, what the hell?
So mean. So mean. I feel like the fiction is attacking its entire viewership, readership, whatever.
Absolutely. He hasn't read the book yet, but when he does read the book, I'll let you know what he thinks.
Yeah, definitely tell me. They get a Weeping Wound weapon oil, which causes bleeds to last longer. There's a minion army spell tome that teaches a spell that can force enemies to fight for you with a mana cost of 50. Currently, Donut only has 24 mana points. 50 is a lot, so it'll probably be extremely valuable, which the determined value skill does like affirm that. I think it was one of their like 3 most valuable items, or they'll use it later. And then finally is this hilarious armor for Donut. Donut finally has armor. Enchanted Fey Scale Quadruped Crupper of the Fleet. Boy, is that a fucking mouthful. By the gods. +2 to dexterity and some other description of how Fey Steel is not as strong as Elven Male or Orcish Steel, but not bad. It's not the best protection, but it'll make your ass look oh so pretty. Just
love this too.
More fun. It's great. It's fine.
I like that they're taking like stuff like we see so much real world items, right?
Mm-hmm.
And real world things from Earth, and then they're throwing in orcs and goblins and elvish steel, and I love it. It's just like it's such a, I don't know. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's so like it's half attempting to draw you into like, yes, this is a video game with lore and fiction. Yeah.
It's Mad Max meets Lord of the Rings, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm super into it. I love it.
So yeah, we do all this housekeeping with all the items, and I'm still talking about them because I do think they're funny and clever and witty. But they move on to the actual nap time. And Carl, I'll just read. Finally done with our skills and loot, I decided to take a nap on the uncomfortable cot. Donut's still bitching about the tattoo curled up with me. Next paragraph. You monster. the name of the achievement that we started with in this chapter. Next paragraph. I tried to pry the achievement out of my head. It was just another stupid joke. The game didn't care that I'd killed children. It wanted me to kill them. The room was set up for it to happen exactly as it had. We were supposed to kill or otherwise clear out the workshop. We were supposed to either blow up that room or do exactly what we did. It was a trap just as much as the bulldozer had been a trap. And those kids had been placed there in that room for that express purpose. They'd existed only to die. I couldn't blame myself or feel guilty. Donut was right. This wasn't my fault. Not at all. Carl reaches a point where he also goes on here in the next paragraph to be like, yeah, the aliens, that this is all their idea, this is their fault, they stole my world, they're the enemy.
Absolutely.
He kind of realigns those feelings of guilt into I hesitate to say self-victimization, but it's more of he realigns it to adversarial. This was inflicted upon him by
exactly
this malicious force of the
It's
court.
assigning blame where blame is due. Yes, he was put in this horrible situation, but it this was how it was supposed to play out, he did what he could with the situation that he was in, but none of this was his choice. So yeah, it's assigning blame where blame is due.
Yeah. We're left with one last line and then a cute image. The last line is, "You're not going to break me," I said, out loud apparently to no one. "You might hurt me or kill me, but you're not going to break me." I wrote, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but your mind games will never hurt me."
Oh yeah. I mean, and this is this is like a moment for Carl, right? It feels like everything they're throwing at him right now, they're trying to break him physically and mentally. And this is just the first level. And Carl at this point is like, "Okay, guess I'm gonna fight. You haven't seen anything yet. I'm gonna fight. You're not gonna take away what makes me.
Yeah.
My core, the core of me.
Yeah.
He's fucking love him.
It occurs to me that it makes a lot of sense to put the thought in this chapter about other people finding a safe zone and just hunkering down, they are broken, or maybe not broken, just unwilling to do the things that they need to do to survive in this environment. And so it makes a lot of sense that Carl has made choices that he resents, but feels like were not his fault that he had to do them, and is wondering about other people and how they're coping with what they've had to do, and why he says this out loud to the game, who they're always recording but not necessarily listening. He wonders if anyone is listening here. And this is kind of a declaration against them, and he's actually putting it out into the world. Yeah. The final shot we get, he turns over to go to sleep, and Donut cuddles closer to his neck. Her new skirt thing pushed into my skin, but it felt oddly comforting. She purred so loud it vibrated my teeth. Cute.
I love it.
Yeah, kind of a weird structure of the chapter, although now that I think about it, it's drama, tension, housekeeping, drama, tension, resolution. It's just in terms of the pacing, things continue to be really fast and then slow down in terms of the action, but they're still moving through emotional stakes really quickly. I think I wrote the sentence "weird structure of chapter" before I think I'd finished fully thinking about it. So I actually really like this chapter, and it feels like we're kind of putting a bow on where Carl's at with his emotional stakes
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
his like tension there, and he's kind of
And
settled into a feeling.
his resolve. Yeah, he's like
Mm-hmm.
he's like, yeah, this is like the moment for Carl where he's just like, yep, I'm
Yeah.
gonna fuck everybody up.
It's really great though, because and it's really clever writing, because not only is it like wrapping up some things with the emotional stakes, but a lot of what came up in this chapter in terms of that like housekeeping and some of the other things like the cookies are actually like setting up more dominoes to be knocked down immediately and down the line.
Yeah, he's
Um
amazing.
yeah,
Matt Dinniman's so good at this.
like talking about the cookies, the two missing cots, the um getting the explosive skill upgrades, the Desperado pass I think is a long-term thing, but there's just a lot of things that happen here that are immediately paid off in this next big chapter.
yeah, let's
So
get into it.
yeah, so Chapter 20 starts. I was awakened by the start of the show on the television screen. It's episode 2 of Dungeon Crawler
Crawler World.
World Earth. Donut thinks that they will surely be in this episode for quote blowing up half the dungeon. I love this. Donut is constantly using hyperbole, both at people's expense and not at anyone's expense. And it's great. I love this. Self-confidence, or just clearly unfactual statement of we have blown
Yep.
up half the dungeon. She heads to the bathroom and comes zipping right on back. Carl, he's here. He's in the bathroom. The women's bathroom. The killer. The guy who killed Rebecca W. Yeah, and Carl notices out of the corner of his eye a blue dot on the map, and begins to question himself, like, what the hell? I've been like peripherally keeping an eye on my like minimized mini map over in the corner of my vision, my screen. How did I like miss that dot was there?
Mm-hmm.
And as he rushes in, they meet in the hallway to the bathrooms, and Crawler Frank Q, is immediately like really apologetic. And they are also immediately sizing each other up. They're observing each other physically before anyone says anything. And Donut is unreserved and just like hissing
Yeah.
at Frank from between Carl's legs.
Just hates him.
Oh yeah, she knows what he's about. She is incapable of reserving her reaction. And that's par for the course with animals. Dogs can't help but bark when people knock on the door or they hear voices outside.
Yep.
And cats cannot help but hiss at people that they determine are a threat or pieces of shit.
No poker face. She's zero chill.
Yeah. Carl notices his like tall but lean size, that he's about 40, and that he, because of just the way he carries himself, which Carl doesn't really describe, but we're just moving through it quickly. He's either military or a cop. Must just be in the posture, I guess. He is wearing black metal football pads with spiked shoulders. And to your earlier comment, they're reusing materials from Earth, like items, especially things that are recognizable, but they are enchanting them or even changing the composition of the matter, but the structure is still there. Frank has a big battle axe over his shoulder, I assume like attached to his back somehow, and Carl assumes that he has a gun. The tooltip says that Frank is level 8. He has no boss kills, and it's here that we see skulls next to his name. One skull with a 3 over it. They both begin speaking again. Frank speaks with an authoritative voice, apologizing to Carl. And he identifies this like authoritative voice as one trained, as either again part of military or some sort of
Right.
enforcement role. And they begin to sort of interrogate each other a bit. He's still apologizing, though, explains he was sleeping in the bathroom so no one could sneak up on him, asks about Carl's lack of pants and shoes, and their titles. Remember, Donut has titled their party and titled herself as her very lengthy title and Carl as the royal bodyguard. So I have our first voice line, one of 4 for tonight. Here is Frank's response. When I read this, I was imagining Frank responding with even more attitude than our voice actor here gives. I'm spacing on his name suddenly.
Jeff Hayes?
Jeff Hayes's, yeah. Jeff didn't give it as much attitude as I think I did in my head. So here we go.
Where are your pants? And your shoes? Have you been walking barefoot this whole time? He looked me up and down, alternating between me and the cat. A look of wry amusement. Also, what's up with your name? Royal Bodyguard? So you were asleep in there? In the women's room? I asked, ignoring his questions.
Yes. I pictured, or in my head, in my inner voice, heard more attitude at the like, where are your pants and shoes?
Yeah. I think I also initially, when I read it before I listened to it, pictured it more like in a cop voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like trying to take control of the situation, and you know what I mean, like being.
Excuse me, where are your pants and shoes?
Yeah,
have you
getting
been
on the upper hand?
Excuse
right?
me, have you been walking around these halls with barefoot this entire time?
Are you intoxicated, sir? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
100%.
But I think given Frank's position, he would want to at least not completely put himself in opposition of people he meets. But I think he's trying to size up Carl and put Carl on the back foot a little bit.
Absolutely.
Ironically.
Carl's also a pretty big guy.
Yes, exactly.
Carl's a big dude.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, he's like, you don't have the authority you think you have right now, pal. You know?
Right. Carl completely ignores all of these questions and begins to ask questions to put Frank on the back foot, asking why he's in the women's bathroom and his choice to sleep in it. He's trying to put Frank on the spot, and it feels like we are in some sort of social combat here. I don't mean that in like a mechanical sense in terms of like dungeon mechanics or anything like that, but I've played a lot of role-playing games with social combat mechanics. I've also watched a lot of battle anime, and sometimes when characters talk, they are in combat. But this chapter also reads very much like a mystery novel to me. And we'll talk about that a bit more here. But Carl has lots of questions and is trying to catch Frank and kind of deduce his intentions and figure out what to believe. You know, like we were talking about, you know, you come upon a random crawler, do you trust them? And I think we get really inside a lot of the questions Carl is going to be asking, or at least the types of questions Carl will be asking, or the system of evaluation he'll be using to kind of figure out other crawlers.
Yeah,
please.
This is the first person. This is the first person that he has met. This is the first other crawler, aside from himself and Donut, and the dead crawler that he found in the hallway. This is the first live person he's meeting in the game, and it's the person who killed the dead crawler that he found in the hallway. Like, so
Right.
He's just, yeah, it's just
not only
his hackles are already up, and
her.
he's like, is everyone going to be like this? Yeah.
Yeah, not only her, but 2 others. He has 3 crawler kills. That the system is telling us.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
this is the first. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So yeah, his hackles are up, and he's just like, oh my God, is everyone in this game going to be like this? Am I going to have to watch my back with every person that I meet? You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. So Frank offers a non-answer that he hadn't slept in 24 hours and must have slept for 12 hours straight. So he's not answering like exactly like why in the women's bathroom. He said he drug a cot into the bathroom. At this point, I'm wondering, okay, that explains one missing cot. Where's the other missing cot? Because I, like Carl, am in like adrenaline pumping into my brain, trying to catch every possible lie and not miss anything, check all my assumptions, etc. So he says like, oh, I figured like no one would go in there. I guess it's not really a convincing answer. Actually, Carl. First, before we even get to that, Carl questions like, oh, do I remember if I thought didn't Donut use the bathroom when they arrived? And we get a reminder that there is like a texting, texting with people in your party feature to the system. He messages Donut, did you use the bathroom before we slept? I did not. I went in the hallway bathroom before we found this room. Carl continues the pressure.
She's incapable of typing without caps.
Yep. She may not even have lowercase letters, as far as we know. Carl keeps up the pressure. I never saw your dot on the mini map. He has a quick and immediate response, which is actually very helpful to know if it is in fact true. You don't see the icons of sleeping crawlers. Have you ever seen someone outside your party sleeping in a safe room? No, we haven't, because we've never seen anyone sleeping, or we haven't seen anyone outside of our party. Their bodies become translucent. If you touch them, your hand moves right through them. So he offers up some information that seems like Frank doesn't know whether we have this information or not, but he seems like he's trying to offer something to like explain it and also be helpful. But he immediately moves into, are you from Seattle? I'm still pretty close to where I came in, but I haven't been able to find any staircases down to the 2nd level. So he's like trying to pivot the conversation away from this line of questioning. Yeah. He
also, why would you try to touch someone who was sleeping who wasn't in your party?
Yeah. And is this like they appear phased out from like any distance, or is it just when you try and touch them? What's up? Uh-oh. Did we lose headphones?
I think I'm lagging or something. I think that my internet is.
Oh no.
Can you hear me still?
I can hear you. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Am I lagging? I don't know.
You've been a little bit robotic in tiny spots. Oh, no.
Damn. Okay. Let me call you back. I'm gonna pop out and call right back.
Sounds
Can I do
good.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brief technical difficulties. Yeah, this is really funny. Oh my god, it gets so good so quickly. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Is this better? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. It seems like maybe I'm just a little bit for some reason.
Yeah, you.
Like the delay between like my response and yours.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Plus, there's a little bit of robotics. We can just keep forging ahead.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. For the sake of not talking over each other, let me know if you have something to add, and I will also invite you to speak at points. Okay, so we get this little bit of information about phasing out party members, which is really interesting. I wrote, how does Frank know this? Which is a really interesting question. You know, how many crawlers and what crawlers has he come across who were not in his party? He's suggesting he has come across people who are not from his party. We'll come back to that question here in a little bit. Frank tries to build this like rapport with him and change the topic. Are you from Seattle? I can't find a staircase. And Donut just immediately interrupts this attempt and just shouts, "You killed Rebecca W." And he just stares at Donut for a few seconds and then says, "Holy shit, I thought that's what I'd heard. A talking cat. This fucking place." This is him completely dismissing what Donut has just accused him of. Donut hisses in response. The TV interrupts with a loud clash, and he then realizes he needs to address this. Did you know her, Rebecca Wong? Donut responds, he admits it. The criminal has confessed. I'm going to hit him with magic missile. She jumps into attack position on Carl's shoulder, as she has done many, many times. Wait. He says, taking a step back. It's not what it looks like. I didn't have a choice. Carl interjects here. We didn't know her. Let's talk about this. Let's go watch the show. But not before he asks, or before he states there were 5 of them. My partner got 1, I got 3, and you wouldn't believe the thing that killed the 5th guy. It's a long story. Can you put down your cat? Donut hilariously misinterprets this. You know, put down your cat, as in euthanize. No. Carl has to step in and assure her that that is not what Frank is talking about. It's very, very silly.
She loses her damn mind.
She does. It's really funny that there's just like a misinterpretation of this small fact that is not even pertinent to the conversation, in what sense, like, at face value, Frank is asserting, no, there is a slight misunderstanding, or this requires explanation. And Donut is like, I'm not in a place where I'm eager to interpret your words how you want me to. It's just funny. A fun little joke. Carl doesn't necessarily trust Frank here, but wants to listen to him and invites him to like come into the main room and watch the show while they talk. And so they do. And Frank explains that his partner is dead, and like sits down very casually. I think it describes him as having his arm like over like the chair next to him, appearing very casually, probably trying to establish, you know, more rapport, or that he's not a threat. But
and that he's relaxed.
Yeah. Well, no, not exactly. I think Carl states like he's trying to appear casual, but is tensed up. Right. Yeah. But we can see what Frank is trying to sell us.
Yeah. We're not buying it.
Exactly. There's a pause in this tense moment to briefly power scale. There's a burrow boss on the screen that ends up in a draw with fighting 40 crawlers. It's fighting 40 crawlers. It like turns half of them to stone, the other half die, and it dies. But there's like, because there's no one left, the game describes it as a draw. Carl is watching this while peripherally keeping an eye on Frank. Frank claims that he and his partner Maggie were part of customs enforcement, which Carl identifies as ICE. He says that they were doing surveillance on a dock that had some undocumented workers when a collapse came. The collapse came and a firefight broke out while the dungeon entrance opened up right there in front of them, and Maggie, his partner, stumbled in and couldn't leave, so they followed. Or they went in all the way and were followed by 5 people running this illegal trafficking or some sort of ring.
Right.
Frank claims that the fight continued in the hallway, and Rebecca, who was the human trafficking leader, was their leader, and was that Rebecca's assistant or one of Rebecca Wong's followers killed his partner Maggie, but then got eaten by some sort of plant monster. And now he is out of ammo, he says. It's at this point in this story that Donut's demeanor completely changes hilariously.
Yep.
You poor man, Donut says at the end of his story. I am just devastated about your partner. He shrugged. I appreciate that. So, do you have any thoughts to add before we continue on to some of the little twists that happen?
Yeah, like she just I love this. I love this moment with Donut, especially because it's exactly like what you're saying. Like as soon as she hears someone's sad story, she's like, "Oh, this man is a victim." Like she's just she has no ability to regulate or discern what is truth.
Exactly.
And yeah, exactly. I think a lot of this comes from her watching television, right? Like she's used to daytime soap operas.
Right.
So like someone
exactly, yes.
Yeah. So like someone who's like a villain one moment is like, I had a troubled childhood, and she's like, he's a victim.
Well, it's
Help
also
this poor man.
It's also like through the filter of like, what are a cat's relationships with people? You're either loved or fucking hated.
Absolutely.
Or she's completely ambivalent to you and doesn't even observe you. Yeah, exactly. So I mentioned there's some twists that come up here, and I mentioned that I had wondered, like, why are these cookies here? Why is this important if not to just tell us that like there's like funny little quirks about these
and some safe rooms are better than others.
Yeah. He says, "Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that." And he goes and grabs a cookie and eats it, and the little notification over his head dings and says plus 9.8 EXP. And I go, "Excuse me? How much XP?" Because we know what happens when you're in a party. He's in a fucking party.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that like is not addressed by Carl in the moment, but he doesn't need to because we are freaking out. We the reader are freaking the fuck out right now.
Right. And he just played his fucking hand like and just, anyway, it's like
he fucked up and he didn't know it. Or wasn't thinking about it. Carl continues his interrogation. He mentions the fact and uses the fact that Rebecca Wong was naked to inquire about pants or shoes that they looted from the dead. He infers like, oh, you're the kind of person that's going to like loot everything on monsters and crawlers. Sure, boss, if you don't mind wearing the clothes of a dead man. At which point Carl, while he's like looking through his inventory, Carl takes this opportunity to text Donut. Again, like they're using the like mental like thought to text. And so I have a little bit of their conversation here in the next audio clip.
Carl, don't type in all caps. I think Frank is going to try to hurt or incapacitate us. This is important. Do not react. Do not fight back at all. I'm going to present an opening. I want to entice him into action. Donut. What do you mean? Frank is an American hero. Carl. Frank is full of shit. He's lying. I think there might be somebody else in here with us, and they are getting ready to jump us. We're going to have to run. Get ready. Donut. I do not like this, Carl.
I do not like this, Carl.
Yeah, just straight up refuses to not text. Yeah, he's basically telling her, like, refuse all your instincts. I know, like, you, A, like this guy, he's lying, and B, when you don't like him, you want to just attack him. Like, she even already said, like, I'm gonna magic missile this asshole. And Carl just like tells her like, I'm going to try and like force him or lure him out. I'm going to try and trap him and just like force the confrontation, but I need you to not do anything. And this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really understand why. It is not fully apparent to the reader yet. I wonder if Carl just like trusts that he can soak whatever attack is brought to bear against him if he is attacked by Frank. I mean, he does have great like constitution. He has regeneration. They've got great spells and healing, etc. And also they're in a safe room. So, you know, can they even attack one another in here? We'll see. Frank finds a pair of blood-stained pants, hands them to Carl. Carl immediately clocks that they are the wrong size. They're like women's small, and he's men's large at the very least.
Covered in blood.
Yeah. And Carl notes that Frank like begins pretending to sort through his inventory for shoes. And Carl pretends to take off his knee pads and turn around like to drop trow and change pants, and basically like sets the bait when Frank draws his gun while at the same time, and Carl's like watching the map, another dot appears, a blue dot, another crawler, as Maggie comes around the corner. Her gun is aimed. Frank shoots at Donut. Maggie shoots at Carl. This is extremely coordinated and lethal. Like they're shooting guns. Who knows what that means, like in terms of the damage and if it will just straight up kill them because they're guns, you know. And it happens like perfectly in sync. It's really scary. And on the TV, I don't know how we know this because like how is Carl also paying attention to this? We see our favorite Lucia Marr and her two dogs fighting, quote, like demons on the screen. Lucia Marr, still doing great. Glad to see it. I'm not sure how Carl also caught that while this is all unfolding.
Just little tidbits here and there, you know?
Yeah. That doesn't really work for me. The fact that there's this extremely tense moment unfolding and somehow he saw this or clocked it. I'm not sure how he did. Anyway, so they come around the corner, they pull guns and shoot. Donut is freaking the fuck out. And Frank and Maggie are frozen. Their guns have not fired. I mean, they've fired, but no bullets have left their guns. They are completely frozen, and there is large words above both of them. Naughty. Carl grabs Donut and declares they have less than 2 minutes and they need to leave. There is here a flashback to a private conversation that Carl was having with Mordecai while Donut was being like transformed by her enhanced pet biscuit. Carl I think Mordecai had made a point to say like make sure to shut the door a number of times, and we're calling back to that. Mordecai is asked about like, so I should close the door because monsters will wander in here to the safe rooms, and will they attack me? Well, yeah, they'll wander in here, and they will trash the place. But if they attack you, they will be teleported away. Much like it's, he also, this is brought up because we also learned that if something bad happens during Donut's transformation, she would also be teleported out of the safe zone.
Right.
And this is kind of like wrapped up in the same logic of that mechanic. Then Carl asks about Donut attacking him, who is transforming. Mordecai explains that for crawlers, it is different. There is no violence and no stealing allowed in safe zones. And in my head, I'm going, oh, so that, you can steal from crawlers elsewhere. Interesting. We'll have to explore that later. There is apparently a 3-strike policy. In the first offense, you are frozen for 100 seconds while you receive a lecture from the system. The second offense lasts for an hour instead. And the third offense, if that happens, you are stripped of your gear and teleported to a mob nest where you are most likely killed.
Yep.
Apparently Frank and Maggie didn't ask about this with their tutorial guild hall NPC, nor have they tested it or run into this before because this is their first offense. Yeah. This is a really interesting moment because it feels like this has been really, really tense, but Carl has been acting chill, but not as, but more chill than maybe the situation seemed to call for. But it seems like he knew he was safe from being stolen from or hurt.
From the moment that he clocked.
Yes.
Like, well, anyway, there's more, but anyway.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're exactly right. And this is what I wanted to like get into a little bit is like, this scene really works for me, or this whole chapter, because it feels like there's this kind of like Sherlock Holmes, like having a conversation with the criminal mastermind, and we're trying to like figure out what they're up to or if they're a bad guy at all or what their game is. And that like Carl has to catch him doing something, but like, oh, Carl had more information than us this entire time. And so he got to approach this differently than we would and seemed really cool doing it because of that information. And it was a cool payoff to receive that information, and learn more about the dungeon. So this whole scene really works for me, in a really cool way. And it's also like a big like gotcha payoff for Carl.
Oh, it feels so good, doesn't it?
Yeah. But then it quickly becomes, okay, what do we do now? Because we can't attack them here, or Carl can't attack them. And we know Carl like wanted to hunt them before. So what do we do? But there's also 2 of them and they're pretty equally matched. Maggie is level 9. She has 5 crawler kills next to her name, which is more than we thought. Carl considers rearranging them to shoot each other because he can't attack them. But he quickly decides not to do this because he wonders if the system would consider that an attack by him. Yeah, and like how does it assign intent and impact? I wonder about like, could he move them outside of the safe zone for monsters to attack them? But I also begin to wonder, like, would that be considered an attack? Anyway,
I mean, but like at this point, they know that they just have to like get away.
Yeah,
because maybe they're evenly matched in strength or ability as far as like their levels go.
Right,
but they have guns.
Right, they have guns. There's not a lot of time to plan here and implement whatever they're gonna do. So Carl makes the wise decision, I think, to like, let's just get out of here. Let's put distance between us. So He thinks about the stealth skill a bit, and how they've probably both been here this entire time, not just sleeping necessarily, but also hiding at some point. It might be possible they were sleeping, but they cannot count on their map to be accurate in representing their approach. Like, there's just been too many coincidences, it seems, related to the sneakiness and lack of information about them being on the map. So Carl figures that they heard the explosion from the Goblin workshop nearby and then tracked Carl and Donut's trail of monster corpses. Maybe Frank learned that other crawlers were phased when they snuck in here and tried to kill us. Who knows? Frank doesn't seem like the kind of person to leave someone alive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So once again, they just down some iron skin potions so they can just book it and be a bit more safe. The terrain here is a little too rough for their chopper. Plus, being around explosive mobs risks turning the chopper itself into a big bomb, which is terrifying. But also means, hey, we have another IED to be used in the future.
He's just racking them up, man.
Yeah, exactly. The chopper's probably way too valuable for that right now. We can take them, says Donut. They're on our level. Maggie is only one above us. Or no, this is Carl's response. They're on our level. Maggie's even higher level than us. Plus, I don't want to be branded as a player murderer. I don't want a skull, even for the right reasons. It will make us untrustable by other crawlers, is his argument. I'm paraphrasing. They're having to think and act very quickly. And Carl's like, we just got to go. It's not worth the risk, but they'll just keep doing it, says Donut, which really hits home for Carl.
Yeah. If we don't stop them, they're going to go and hurt other people.
Exactly. And Carl can't abide by this. He can't let someone go who he thinks like could hurt other people. But again, he can't like go in there and confront them, and they're kind of at a disadvantage where they now kind of have the safe zone as a bunker. They can't go back in. And Carl doesn't want to like risk. He's kind of risk averse here. So he quickly develops, tests, and implements a plan. There are rats running around. Donut kills some that approach them while they're talking. Carl tells Donut not to loot the rat, which really pisses her off because apparently her favorite thing to do in the dungeon is loot things, even though it's just a rat with some rat meat and rat furs. He then takes out some goblin dynamite and lights it, adds it. Or no, it's not dynamite. It's like a smoke bomb. He uses a smoke bomb to test this. But then ultimately what he does is he realizes he can see the stability of the explosives. He sees that when he takes them out, even before they've been lit, they have like lost stability and are like, each of his explosives are drawing closer and closer to detonation, some way closer than others. He lights one, puts it in the inventory, waits a moment, takes it out, sees that it was in stasis and not continuing to detonate in the inventory. So he lights some goblin dynamite, sticks it in the rat's inventory. It is at like 10 out of 50 stability. It reads discharge imminent.
And that's for him because he has some ability to handle dynamite with like the explosives bonus and stuff that he got from killing all of the goblins.
Yeah. But so, like, also because it's lit,
unstable.
It's actively ticking down.
Exactly.
In addition to whatever effect handling it has. Yeah. So he leaves it in stasis in the rat's inventory. He figures these people can track us. We could make a bunch of noise that will lead them here. And or they can see us on their mini map because they can again see like up to a mile out. And they seem like the kind of people that love to loot things.
And loot all is the
right,
most important part
they
of that.
seem to loot all. Exactly. So he gambles that they will follow the trail of corpses and will loot everything. Now, he does state goblin dynamite in a rat inventory doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it might seem suspicious. So they might be able to deduce what's happening here, but they don't have the information I have. They especially don't know about like the mechanics behind the stability of bombs and explosives.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this works. And then the kill gets attributed to them for looting the bomb, and I am free and clear of any assigned blame by the system. We'll see.
We'll see.
He doesn't know for certain, which comes up in the next chapter. But this leaves Donut dumbfounded as they are running. There is some really great reasoning explained that explains like how Carl knew that they were lying and what was going on. Basically, all the clues, as Sherlock Holmes, I mean, Carl is revealing how he knew who the killer was. I mean, that Frank was lying. He says Rebecca was level 3, not level 1. So it doesn't make sense that they were having a fight right as the dungeon started. Also, she had an apple core in her inventory. So her inventory had been unlocked at a tutorial guild. The XP cookie also revealed that he was in a party with another living crawler. And finally, as he was sitting, I know, and this wasn't brought up in the text before, but Carl's revealing what he noticed now. He saw that Frank, while he was sitting casually with his arm over a chair, was typing. He was like moving his fingers quickly. Apparently they hadn't figured out how to do thought to text. So he was clearly messaging his partner. So I have another audio clip here.
I don't know. I think he might be. He talks and acts like a cop, but his whole story was bullshit. That Rebecca woman was a level 3. He said they'd gotten into a firefight right away, but that couldn't be true. She had that apple core in her inventory. That meant she'd gone to a tutorial guild and gotten her inventory turned on. And then he ate that cookie, and I saw he received 9.8 experience instead of 10, which meant he was in a party with someone. Someone alive. Also, he had his arm draped over the chair, and I could see he was twitching his finger. He was typing into the chat. He hadn't figured out how to use it with just his brain.
This is, I did explain this. Maybe I shouldn't have. This is just really clever voice acting. He sounds really exasperated and loud. He's panting. Really, really great. I love it.
Can you please tell the audience what you named that audio clip?
Yes, I named this clip anime level reasoning. This is like the scene. Again, I'm in the mystery, the Sherlock Holmes, the moment in an anime, which I know you've seen anime. A character, like, it's like intense, like loud anime music playing as they explain all their rationale. You didn't figure I'd, play this trap card, so I got you, you asshole. And I knew you'd do this because you did this earlier. You thought you were thinking 2 steps ahead. Well, I was playing 4D chess, motherfucker.
Exactly.
This is just a really, really great moment in this chapter that is punctuated by an even better response by Donut, which I have titled James Bond.
Yes.
How is it you're James Bond when it comes to strangers, but Miss Beatrice could date 3 different guys at once, and you had no idea?
3 different guys?
Well, you were one of them, so 2, I guess. Then again, it's 3 if you count Angel's owner. Does it count as cheating when it's with another woman? There's so many human nuances I don't understand.
Of course it counts as cheating, I said. For fuck's sake.
But you were always watching those videos on your iPad with the 2 women rolling around and cleaning each other. Would it have been cheating if Miss Beatrice let you watch?
We're not having this conversation right now, Donut.
Incredible.
I just love it.
If we've had the rude awakening that Beatrice was, of course, cheating on Carl. But now it's doubled down on, no, not just one other person, two other people. Actually, does it count as three if it's with another woman?
I like the way she qualifies it as like they're rolling around and cleaning each other.
Right. She's just like,
I love it so much.
I understand cheating and I understand sex, but lesbian sex is rolling around cleaning yourself. I'm misinterpreting, or like, because I've misinterpreted the situation. Donut,
absolutely.
for as smart as Donut is, she clearly misinterprets a lot of things.
Where would she have had an opportunity to see that on daytime television, Nick? I ask you. She's doing her level best here.
Yeah, that's fair. Good point. So, they get on the chopper for the first time. They get enough distance to get to like a major artery. Mm-hmm. They pull out the chopper. Carl auto feeds or takes out a lump of coal and puts it in. Takes off. They're out of here.
I like the mechanic of this too, because he explains how it has pedals. So he has, in order to get the bike going, he has to pedal the bike to the speed that he wants the bike to go. And then he can throw in a piece of coal.
Yeah.
And it'll just go.
Yes, I had to move the bike by pumping my legs, but once I reached the speed I wanted, I turned the throttle and the bike would lock that speed. So it has cruise control, but you have to get it up to speed. Yeah, exactly. He says the engine, it was a strange setup. The engine built into the chassis was already getting hot. I would have to spread my legs out to keep from getting burned to hell. I sighed. I really, really needed pants. So not only is he burning his leg, he again is in boxers, so his dick's probably hanging out a little bit, or
maybe, probably,
maybe, yeah,
probably,
yes. But right before they drive, there's another daily announcement. Again, at the end of the episodes of Dungeon Crawler World, they get the like patch note update and announcements. So we've missed a bunch of the episode. We don't know if they were in the episode, but there's a couple of announcements that I found hilarious. And again, we're gonna dive into them because they're just too funny not to talk about. Reminder that there had already been issues with the toilets and bathrooms. I think before, if someone else had entered someone's bathroom, they would explode. That was fixed and patched. First off, we want to assure everyone that we have quashed all the bugs with the new toilets, both the exploding issue and the unfortunate suction issue with some of the units has been resolved. There's absolutely no need to be afraid of them. Yeah, we definitely trust you on that one. Those of you who have been using the hallways to relieve yourselves, please stop. We don't want to have to start using punitive measures. Well, this sucks because for a lot of people, apparently, it's either get punished or explode. Those are your options. Yeah.
They're like, I'm going to shit in the hallway. Absolutely no way after those last announcements. Am I going to go relieve myself?
Carl and Donut seem to have had no problems, but it's just funny to think about, like, oh my God, how many people have been having issues with the bathroom and are now horrified by the dilemma that they're in. Having to pick between relieving themselves in the hallway and being punished or using a potentially lethal toilet. Again, the place where human beings are their most vulnerable is not safe.
Yes.
Is terrifying.
Yeah.
Next note, support for all languages that were missing has been added. Excuse me? So for those of you who are hearing this and finally understanding what I'm saying for the first time, welcome. You'll figure out the rest, I'm sure.
Right? Can you imagine?
There's been people not understanding this entire time. Oh my God. Well, you know, props to people who have made it this entire way.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably will figure it out. Good luck. The feral rabies debuff is now curable with a health potion or spell, and the contagion is no longer airborne. Sorry about that, New Zealand. This is just... I love these because it's just like introducing dilemmas that are not happening to Carl in just a like yeah, there's other stuff happening that
Yes.
like the entire world isn't just Carl. There's a lot of other stuff happening that Carl isn't having to deal with, thankfully. But we're just gonna drop that bomb so quickly and well, kind of ceremoniously, but like without exploration.
Nope.
There is an explanation that some mobs and bosses are too difficult at this point, and they're being like moved down to lower levels. Some like a street preacher neighborhood boss has been upgraded to a burrow boss because it's too tough. In addition, we've tweaked the strength levels of a few dozen other mobs. Too many to mention here, so just be aware of that. And then a reminder that heading into the stairways prematurely is not good for you because there's a lot of experience to get, and you can't like attract viewers.
And she explicitly states that if you go down the stairwell early, you will not be featured in the recap episode. So
exactly.
You'll be missing out. Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, that's it for now. Keep up the good work and
kill.
Exactly. And Donut Wonders, do you think we were on the episode? I doubt it, says Carl. And they take off. Yeah. I think I've kind of hit all the points I wanted to with this chapter. It was really great action, or intense, even though there wasn't like a ton of actual action. There was, we met our first other crawler, and it was, when we think about the journey Carl's been on, how he's felt horrified to kill transformed humans transformed into bosses, and then non-human NPCs that are vulnerable people. He's resolved that, and he also, even before that, resolved I am fine killing this Frank Q guy, but I don't want to be inconvenienced with not being trusted, so we're gonna just set a trap and run.
Perfect.
Yeah, and as this all happens, we're still learning more mechanics about the dungeon. We're seeing opportunities develop to explore mechanics in the future with stealing, with the phasing. We're learning about all kinds of stuff here. Stealth. And
we're seeing the gear that other players have.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of other gear out there.
Because you would assume that whoever it is that you're running up against would maybe have similar gear to yours, and Carl is finding that is not the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and guns. We've seen people with lots of guns on the recap episodes, and now we've seen these two. And clearly they were not out of ammo. I wonder how much they have, or they've probably been getting more ammo, or at least ammo for other guns. Probably because they've been using guns, so they're rewarded for using guns. They get ballistics boxes or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, this was a really, really great moment. To me, this moment felt like we had kind of put a bow on everything that had sort of come before it. Like so many questions that remained about this immediate area. Like as we're leaving this area, as they're just driving off really, really far, really, really fast, like it feels like we're really just like putting this behind us. Now, I don't know, like we don't know if they die, Frank and Maggie. We have no idea, but we might see them again, we might not. But it definitely feels like we are moving on to something else right now, for sure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like literally he's distancing himself, like not only from the way that he was like feeling before, like about, the feelings of guilt and like, like I'm being put in this situation, and now he's resolved himself somewhat, but he's also physically putting distance between himself and like where they came in at. Like they've only experienced that part of the dungeon so far. He's like, you know what? This is whack. This is fucked up. I'm out. Like he's like we're gonna kill some mobs somewhere else. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Right.
And I also want to point out that like in that moment, whenever Carl is like talking to Donut and saying like, "Hey Donut, don't react. This is what's happening. Frank's a piece of shit." And she's like, "He's an American hero. What are you talking about?" Like she also like in that moment trusts him. Like I don't think that like, and this is maybe like one of the first instances that we see of Donut and Carl exhibiting trust in one another. Donut is trusting Carl to like save her, to lead, to, you know, I mean, she might be the party leader because technically she's stronger and she has more charisma and she's like more powerful than he is, but he's still like her caretaker, you know, like he's still the person who's taking care of her.
Right.
And she's like, cool. Like I'm on it. She doesn't hesitate. You know what I mean? Like she's going with what he's putting down. And I love that.
Right. And I think last episode I kind of pitched to you like how much of Donut's like persona or the way she presents herself, the things she says and the things she does, like how much of it is her just like being performative? How much does she actually like trust people? How much does she actually believe what she's saying? But here it definitely feels like she genuinely trusts Frank here. And this was kind of like, I think you argued, I don't remember exactly what we were not arguing, but discussing last time, but I felt like Donut was being very performative and like lying, but you were like, no, she's genuine. And to me, this is a mark in that category of like, she is genuine and like, and is genuinely all over the place, even though she's hyper intelligent.
She is hyper intelligent, but she also has a lifetime of like daytime shitty television and sitcoms and syndicated TV series that she's like absorbed, which is not necessarily indicative or reflective of like what real life is like. Not that this is quote unquote real life, but like Carl's a quote unquote real person in the context of this story. So like he looks at these things that are like hyper exaggerated, and like if this is all that Donut really had, as if this is why she's hyper intelligent because of how much she's consumed, how much media she's consumed, then the vast majority of that knowledge, quote unquote knowledge, is, you know, highly interpretive. So like she's like this is the thing too, she's still a baby, right? Like she's been alive for a few years, but mostly as a cat. And all of the things that she absorbed when she was a cat, it's like it's like she's piecing things together, one, but two, she's still basically like a little kid. Like it's like it's a robot. She's a robot, right? And that robot was just turned on. That robot just went live. Right? And still learning.
This really speaks to the decision by Borant to not use wisdom as a stat, because when you artificially inflate wisdom, like that's, you know, wisdom's based on experience, it's intuition, it's being able to interpret, and Donut clearly has not much, especially as it relates to people in certain ways, or strategy in certain ways, or like reading body language or context cues, in a way that Carl has, in this incident, a lot of wisdom that leads him correctly to the right conclusions and the right decisions.
You know, think about all of the people that Donut has met though in her life, right? Maybe I hate, like she's like Beatrice and Carl are her people, and she was an indoor cat. Yes, she went to cat shows, but she was around other weird cat people and like judge it.
Well, and so, also, but she's also used to being judged and valued by authoritative figures. So it makes sense that when she meets another authoritative figure,
Oh, that's a good point. That's a great point, actually. Like, but I will concede and say that, like, there is a lot of what Donut does when she speaks out loud that is performative because she is determined to get on that show. You are not wrong. You are 100% correct about that.
Yeah.
A lot of it is performative. But, like, in those moments where it's just her and Carl,
Yeah.
that's when I feel that she's truly genuine. You know what I mean?
And this
like,
was
when
genuine because she genuinely hated Frank's guts and wanted to deal with him.
Oh, she's gonna missile him. Yeah.
And like felt that there was an injustice. So I feel like she gets her sense of justice and like what's right and what's wrong from Carl because he was also feeling it. So it didn't feel at all like they were being performative or that they had like a separate agenda. It was like evaluate this guy in front of us and deal with him.
She's also a cat, so it's instinctual for her. Like what you said before, it's like a cat is either going to love you or they're going to hate you or they're going to be indifferent to you. And like she's very much got her hackles up and she's hissing at him. Yeah. She's still learning, but at the end of the day, she's also still just a cat.
Yeah. Now, as much as I kind of attributed this chapter to being very much like a battle anime, if this were a real battle anime, Donut would be like doing this social combat while also, how can I do this in a way that'll get me on the show?
Yes. That's what that would have 100% been going on in the background, like her inner monologue.
Right, exactly. But that would have been, potentially put them at a severe disadvantage or push them to be extremely creative. Either way, we'll never know. But I will say that people like Frank and Maggie moving forward, like let's say they pop up as villains sometimes do in anime or shows, having to deal with them in the way, like given Carl's goals of not getting a skull for a crawler kill, he's at a severe disadvantage. Especially if they're willing to do whatever to achieve their goals, oftentimes hurt or kill and loot other crawlers. Despite their desperado tattoos, they clearly have a line they're unwilling to cross. Whereas true crawler killers are willing to cross that line and probably already have. So anytime we come across people with those skulls, we're like these two will be at a disadvantage in terms of dealing with them because they're self-limiting their own options.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is interesting. Okay. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. This next chapter again is just table setting for the next block of chapters, so it goes pretty quick. My notes are very short for these. Carl, first of all, 47 hours till level collapse. There's just 2 days left. If Frank and Maggie found my trap, I didn't receive a notification. The best case scenario was that they were both dead and I did not get credit for it. Of all the achievements in this game, Crawler Killer was one I wanted to avoid. I did not receive any sort of achievement or skill for setting a trap, and it was a safe bet that that'd be a thing here. I took that as a good sign. Donut and I did, however, receive an achievement for our, quote, fight with Frankie Q and Maggie Mai. So they probably didn't kill them. Chances are the system would award them for it, but it would be great if they were dead. So we won't know until we see them again or not. Who knows? But they do receive a new achievement. Bitch meat. You've been attacked by a fellow crawler in a safe zone, and the system has been forced to save your ass. That usually suggests you're either really annoying or you snore. If this were a prison, you would now be my bitch. Wait. Reward? Bitches don't get rewards. Wow. Okay. The AI read some really dark prison material recently, I guess.
Hey,
and is
Oz was a very Oz was a super big show on HBO for a while there. So
That's
if they can reference Van Damme, then certainly they've seen Oz on HBO. So
yeah. And I love that the AI is like, the system was forced to save your ass. This wasn't mechanics set up to give you at least some place of feeling safe. But how does Carl react to this? He laughs. For the first time ever since we entered this ridiculous game, I laughed at one of the stupid notifications. Okay. They discover that they get about 3 or 4 miles per lump of coal. They have effectively limitless coal because they stole stacks and stacks and stacks of it. They just continue driving east for hours. Away from the edge of the map. Again, Seattle is not on the western edge of the state, but there is, the bay out there, the Puget Sound. So it makes sense that there would be a local edge of the map there, but they are not probably the westernmost that the dungeon goes. Carl estimates that they drive about 20 miles per hour for hours. While he's driving, his chopper pilot skill increases to level 5, which allows him some additional benefits to it actually allowed him to increase their speed with the throttle itself.
Nice.
I didn't want to go too fast, but I felt it was important to find a denser area of the labyrinth. They discover as they're driving that the fog of war around them, like the amount of the map that is revealed by like being in proximity to it, tightens up the faster they go. So effectively, they're just seeing what is immediately around them in the hallway and not able to actually see anything outside of it. So
because they're not venturing off of the road,
right?
But
if they had walked along the road here, the fog of war would have revealed more.
Right. Yes.
But there's a sort of like dilation effect accounting for speed traveled. So it's forcing exploration, forcing you to be less efficient than just driving around. With the exception of a few things, because we know that safe zones, bathrooms, and staircases are revealed anywhere on the map that you can see them. Or like even if they are not revealed by the fog of war. So they could just luck out. We're then
Mordecai also said that you can still see a staircase even if it's in the fog of war. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like even if you were like a mile out and we're at the very edge of your radius, you could see it. Yeah. Perfect. It is revealed that Carl's thoughts wandered to his dad. Because his dad was a biker, a motorcycle guy, not full time, but a weekend warrior, he calls him. And he reveals that he hasn't spoken to his dad or heard from him in 12 years, not since he'd abandoned me that day, leaving me all alone in the world. Before today, I'd never been on a motorcycle in my life. So interesting. We
getting drip fed a little more each time.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see where that goes. Eventually, more mobs appear. They stop and attack them, or they stop and mobs come find them. They kill them. They take their spears to sell. They realize that they are driving blind. And Carl is worried about hitting a trap. And is also worried about like not being able to find anything of interest, so that he ends up going slower. And eventually they come upon a sign that has been spray painted.
Written in English.
Yes, written in English with I think red spray paint. 2 crossroads east, 3 south, stairs plus people. So they have signs of other people that aren't piece of shit player killers. Maybe we'll see.
Possibly.
Yeah. So they follow it. They find another sign. They find a bunch of corpses of monsters. Chili goats, level 4, killed by crawler Brandon Ann. with assist by crawler Chris Andrews. Chris Andrews 2. Inventory empty. They find a bunch of different chili goats dead in this area with 15 different crawler names of people who killed or assisted in the slaying of it. They were also killed by as many ways. Sliced, fried with spells, broken arrow shafts, etc. Monsters smashed flat like a pancake. I'm pretty sure it's not a trap, I said. Let's go find them. And then they find more notifications the closer they get to the area. They arrive at a T-junction. They get off the bike. They store it. And then they discover that at this T-junction, the roads aren't like these grid-like arteries that go straight up and down, but that these two slightly turn. And looking at the map, they deduce there's kind of like a circular area, and they also look at the map and see that there is a stairwell to floor 2 that appears to be in the center. Very exciting. Yeah, there's another sign that appears. It says, "This road is safe. We are gathered 1.5 miles this way. Do not go deeper into the spiral or you will activate the burrow boss." Carl remembers Mordecai indicating bosses don't guard staircases until level floor. So this is a departure from what we expected. And then Carl hears or feels something really large and fast rumbling on the other side of the wall, on the inside of the, quote, spiral.
Yes.
Yeah. They start following the road around the spiral towards the gathering area. They spot a portcullis that is mostly dropped. They suspect that if they enter, the portcullis will drop all the way. And Carl, as he kind of like looks in, imagines that the spiral is more of like a maze in a circular area. He suspects that if they enter, it will slam shut and trap them. And then they see it, a giant pink fleshy ball roll past, too fast to completely see, the size of the entire hallway, smelling of sewage. Ugh, gross. More gross
so
trash
nasty.
monsters. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. I'm terrified.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So they are approaching a settlement. We have a direct line to a staircase to the second floor with 2 days to get there or less. And some people to meet, it sounds like. So yeah, that's the chapter. I don't think there was even an exciting end to this. Oh, Donut says, as they smell the stench of sewage, "My heavens," crinkling her face like I'd tried to feed her vegetables. "This is going to be unpleasant."
She's so twee. I just love her.
It's hilarious. One thing that occurred to me about, like, I had always thought about finding other crawlers as really beneficial so that you could, like, have lots of numbers and be able to take on large bosses. But you got to share all that XP. It's going to be much harder to level up, or even find like items. If you're like really dense in terms of crawlers per area, so crawlers are gonna need to spread out, and explore a lot, at least at this point, anyway. If they want to continue
absolutely.
to level up and get stuff.
Yeah, and I love that we're seeing like the corpses of these mobs like get hit with this like array of all of these different abilities, like from all of these different players. So like that to me is what's exciting, is that you get to see like as we're introduced to more crawlers, we see like, you know, obviously Carl's a tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Donut is like a bard, and it's exciting to see like other classes of players as we're going through too. Like, so that it's nice.
Yeah, it is really exciting to know that there's a lot of people over there and that they seem very capable. They seem to be very organized. They've cleared out a large amount of area and are guiding people to join them. For those who have seen The Walking Dead, though, I begin to get a little suspicious.
Yeah.
A la Terminus. For if you know, you know. Basically, people there were a group of people at a like train depot that would go down the railroads and put signs like, "Hey, follow the railroad tracks to Terminus." At the middle of all of these like joining railroads, we have safety. And then the people that arrived were not treated well. I'll leave it at that. They were not friendly. But it feels like we're moving again, like from the context of the book, it feels like we're moving towards something exciting. Carl states it doesn't feel like a trap. We could always be a little suspicious and assume it's a trap, but we're being invited to be excited about this by Matt Dinniman.
Right. And knowing Carl, he'll make a plan.
Yeah.
To get out of there fast if they need to. But yeah, it's his first experience of meeting another crawler was Frank. So hopefully it can only get better from there. Mm-hmm. So I can't wait until we are introduced to these heretofore nameless, faceless people.
Yes,
so.
Brandon, Ann, and Carl Andrews too.
Chris.
Oh, is it Chris? Oh, did I say Carl? Oh, I wrote Carl in my notes.
That's right. Yeah, Brandon and Chris.
I already have started my notes for next session. So speaking of, next time for episode 7, we'll be reading chapters 22, 23, and 24. We will be very quickly meeting some new people. In fact, we will be meeting Brandon, Ann, and Chris Andrews too. As well as some other very colorful characters. All right. You can catch me tomorrow over on John Dungeon Master's channel on YouTube. I'll be continuing The Mists of... Oh my god, I'm spacing right now. I'm so sleepy. Mists of... Oh my god, this is embarrassing. Mists of Rule, a 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons short campaign that we're playing with some friends. Brian, who's Scarlet Shadow. We have Coffee Traveler. We have Andrew Gutzmer. We are looking for a murderer who's killing people. That no one has
fun.
seen. What are you doing? Oh, you're playing.
Is it a mystery? Is it like a murder mystery?
It is. It's a sort of murder. It's a magical murder mystery.
I love it. That sounds great.
It could be a huge ancient curse, or it could just be someone that found a bunch of bad magics. We have no idea.
So it could be a Scooby-Doo villain in a rubber mask, or it could be the curse of the mummy, and you're all doomed. So very exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's where I'll be, and I'll also be streaming just a bunch of random stuff. I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals recently. But if you don't like any of that and just want more Dungeon Crawler Carl, you'll see us in 2 weeks for episode 7. You got any plugs before we go, Shannon?
No, I do not want to be found.
Fair. All right. I gotta go feed my dog. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.
Bye.